Sorry, technical difficulties. Let's go. Hi, guys. This is Daniel Alexander Cannon here on the Supernatural Show. And we've got one of my favorite subjects to talk about today. And we have a special guest here that's going to tell us her supernatural story and encounter, you might say, with an example of one of my favorite subjects. And we're going to get into it right away here. We're not going to mess around much. We got as you can see, we're missing Shannon today. She's not feeling well. And hopefully you guys will send a little prayer out for her that she's feeling better and can be back by Friday on the show again. But we miss her and we send our love out to her. We have, of course, Dan, our advisor, here in the studio again today. And we welcome Dan for being here. How are you doing today, Dan? Or should I say what in the supernatural is going on with you?
Oh, well, clear to party cloudy. I still am working on trying to get over to Sparta to take care of a few things, but everything is beautiful. It really is.
Nice. Good. And you're all feeling better from your little run in with the bug, the flu thing?
By his stripes, I am healed.
Nice. Excellent. That's awesome. Well, guys, we also have our supernatural guest today. Kimberly's here with us, and we're going to go to her now, and we're gonna let her talk about the truth of what has happened, some different things in her life, and after she kind of goes through her supernatural stories and events that have happened. I'm going to, at some point in there, I'm going to jump in and I'm going to show y'all guys and explain more in depth as to at least part of her story that I'm aware of, that what it is. And I haven't talked to her about this at all, but I'm going to try to explain it and help y'all guys understand. So that way, when you see these things that we're going to be talking about, you understand better what they are, what they look like, how they were created, and who created them. So, Kimberly, welcome to the show. I greatly appreciate you being here on the Supernatural Show.
Thank you for having me to tell the story.
You're welcome. So I understand you have a few different things to talk about, and I'd like to hear it all if possible. But if there's too much, we might have to have you back for a second show. But for now, we're going to just do what we can. I don't know where you want to start, but I'd say, just start wherever you feel like is appropriate, and just go ahead and start telling your story.
All right, I'll primarily the story Blue Light. It happened in like late 2011, maybe 12. And I'll tell you, like the room that I was in my daughter's room because she wasn't there. And my husband at the time didn't have a CPAP machine and snored, so sometimes I was go sleep in the room. And so I was sitting in the bottom bunk of bunk beds up against a wall, like as close to the wall as I am right here. It was the wall on the left. And so there was a window, but it was up above me. And my dog was with me at the time. And I had just come in there, so I was wide awake. And I was trying to settle in it, but she was very restless. I didn't know why. And I had actually just sat up and was saying to her, like, what's wrong? What are you doing? And from this, now I don't know if it came out of the wall, like it had come through the wall, or flashed into existence at the point of the wall. So anyway, this blue light came into existence right there. My dog was watching it with me. She was right here, like her head was right. We watched it. It came about. It was like about this fast. Okay. Right in front of my face, like less than a foot away. It went out from under the top bunk, just a little ways into the room. It was never more than 5 feet from me, I would say. It curved back around, and then so toward the foot of the bed, there's the ladder for the top bunk. And when it got to that, and I want to show you what it looked like real quick. You see that? So
hold it up again.
Got to the ladder.
Hold it up again. Put it a little closer towards the wall. Hold it up one more time and put it a little closer towards the wall. Over towards the wall. There you go. A bit closer to the camera now.
There you go.
There you go. Okay. All right. Yeah, we can see it good. Okay. So that's kind
of the ladder part where the post to the bunk bed or whatever. When like a beam of a light when it touches like a 3D surface, how what it looks like. It didn't look like that. And if I say to you that it wrapped around it, like I don't want you to think of like an octopus because it wasn't that either. But it wasn't like it wasn't a normal light anyway because it flew right in front of my face, like right here. But it was, and here's the thing, the second that it came into existence right here, it was the same feeling that you would say, like when you know that there's a person, a living person, or maybe even a disincarnate, like a spirit, near you not in your space, but in your room or whatever, how you feel it. So I'd have to revise that to say it's like a sentient, because there was I knew it was sentient. It just like as if it was a person or a spirit, anything else sentient. Well, I mean, I knew it was sentient. And when it was doing that thing on the bed, my sense, and I'm hoping you can tell me if I'm just like imposing human thoughts on this thing. It seemed to me as if it suddenly sort of startled, like you might go, and then it flashed out of existence. And though it had gone right in front of my face, my sense was it didn't realize that the dog and I were watching it, and it realized that, and it went away. But that could just be my human.
When it flashed out of existence, describe that a little bit.
It was like it seemed to me like as if it was with a startle, because its motion in front of my face and around was completely fluid, and as it was doing what it was doing to the bed, it was fluid. But then it was like a sudden start, and it was gone.
Okay.
And I don't know. I mean, I could be making up the part about it being startled. It just seemed like my feeling was as if it didn't know we were watching it, and when it realized that, it went away.
Okay.
I mean, it was 100% sentient. I mean, I had no doubt in my mind. Not like coming from something. I mean, it was sentient itself. This thing that flew in front of my face was sentient.
And when you first seen it, was it already lit up, or did it appear out of nowhere?
It just appeared. I don't know, because my dog and I were sort of more facing maybe this way, but it just was there. So I don't know if it came through the wall or flashed into existence right there as the same way it flashed out of existence.
Typically, the way these things appear is they appear with a spark.
You know what I would say in my head, like almost like a white spark, but then what came from it was this thing. It was blue. I mean, it's like that color, blue, very blue.
So you have some recollection of there being a little bit of a spark, and it appeared
like a flash, maybe, like a suddenness to it.
Okay, all right. Yeah, you'll understand that better when I show you what I'm going to show you.
The rest of it was just the motion was so fluid, and the feeling, other than it being like sentient, and then as if maybe I'd startled it, nothing bad. I wasn't scared. It was an active home, so I mean, nothing like this ever. This has happened to me, but I seemed to take it in stride. It was my dog wasn't freaked out. She saw it as much as I did. We both turned our heads watching it, and she wasn't growling or afraid. She was just watching it like I was.
Pets typically have the ability to see the light spectrum that your eyes can see. Most people don't realize is that we're almost blind. Humans, we're almost blind. There's a light spectrum that is huge of what is actually there, but what is visible is like just a little tiniest part of the entire light spectrum. The light spectrum is huge, and that's why I say we can only see what we have termed and called and labeled as visible light. Meaning it's only visible to us, but dogs and cats can see outside of those light spectrums that we can see a little better than we can. So
I believe that dog saw things.
You'll see people notice their dogs like they act like they see something. It's because they can see things. Children, especially when children are very young, they will see things that adults won't be able to see for a couple of reasons. One is that the child has not been trained yet to not believe in certain things. So when they see it, it's real to them, and they'll say, "I see this." And but then the mama and the daddy start telling them, "You ain't seen that. You're making this up. You're a liar." And then because there's a negative connotation with it, they don't mention it again, and they start ignoring it. And when you start ignoring it, your brain then disengages your ability to recognize even what you're seeing.
When I was less than 5, I would tell my dad or my mom that I would see people in the house, and my dad would have to take me around the house at night to show me that there were no people. And I can remember really clearly one time him doing that and me going back to bed, and there were the people again. And I just remember thinking, I don't know why this man doesn't recognize that these people are darn well here. I can remember seeing this one man for years. He was there as can be.
Well, here's kind of a little bit of answer for you. This person made a comment. It says, New World Disorder. He said, "Oh, once a bird flew into my window and fell on the deck. I picked him up, but he had a broken neck. He died, and the orb went up over the roof and gone. The same moment he died in my hands, the orb came out of the bird."
I believe that. Birds are very supernatural.
Yeah, everything that God created has one of these orbs within it. It's the light within us that holds our spirit, and everything, including things like God created angels, and angels. There's different types of angels and different levels of angels, and there's different levels of a lot of different things that God created. And typically, when you see a little small orb, typically it's the spirit of some type of spirit or some type of deity that God created.
Something disincarnate, or maybe something that was never even incarnate?
Well, angels appear this way, and they are not carnal. They are of the spiritual realm, and they appear inside of. There's some different names you could call it. You could call it a toroidal field. You could call it you could call it a flower of life. You could call it a point of creation. They appear and exist inside the eye, the envelope, or the pupil, you might say, of a toroidal field. Some examples that we all can see out there of these things manifesting, because God created all things in His image, and that includes us, and it includes a lot of other things, of course, that God created. He likes to apparently create things in His image, in copies of Himself, images of Himself. Is how I've come to understand it. And so what you've seen there was, I can't tell you exactly what it was. You said it was blue?
It was blue.
Did you notice anything about the movement of the energy in it?
The triangles, like I was showing you, the triangles,
Uh-huh.
they weren't spinning within it, but vibrating.
Okay. So it was energetic, like, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the whole thing. It wasn't glowing outward, like, into my eyes like anything, but it was still bright.
Yeah. Produced its own light.
Absolutely, without a
Yeah.
doubt.
Yeah. And I want to get a lot more into explaining some of those details and stuff, but I think I'll do that a little bit later because I know you've got quite a bit of other stuff you want to talk about too. So we'll do that first, and then we'll come back around and talk about the orbs and what they are and why I know. And I'm going to show you part of a documentary that I put together some years back, and make that documentary available to everybody here on the Supernatural Show. And I'm going to show also let's see here, another little video as well of what I would call a full blown angel. And yeah, so we'll do that. But I want to hear some more from you. So if there's any more about that story you want to tell, go ahead. Or if not,
Well, I thought I wanted to detail just some of that was a really paranormally active house.
mm-hmm.
Generally, like in terms of spirits, there was a ghost cat that was there. Independently, like everybody saw it. People that were there spent any amount of time at the house ended up seeing it and hearing it. And I could see it looked like a full-on cat a lot of the time. But we also, like, my daughter's room would have her top bunk. That's where it was her bed. She had a pouch that she would hang down, and the remote control for her TV and for the fan were in there. And when you put something in there, it was in the pouch. It wasn't going to fall out of the pouch. She and I would both find the remotes out in the middle of the room. And there's gravitationally speaking, there was no way for it to fall and end up in the middle of the room. It just couldn't happen. That house had orbs like crazy in our bedroom. We would see, like we were saying, small orbs would just flying around the bedroom all the time. As far as outside, we could see UFOs all the time in that backyard. We've seen them on
unidentified objects.
It's a very specific UFO that Mr. BBB shows a lot from all around the world. I've seen them, and I say that's exactly what we used to see. Exactly.
And describe the shape and look of it.
Well, that's the crazy part, and that's why we were so attracted to looking at these ones in the sky here. There's a shape, but there's not a shape because it's like it's 3D and it's swirling in like a flower shape, but 3D with different.
So kind of like similar to what you've seen with the blue orb, but just larger
but larger and different colors, lots of different colors.
Right.
And, with going the 3D lights. He has lots of videos. People all around the world see them, but I'm telling you, we could see them all the time in that backyard. Just all the time. They were always there. Yeah,
and you probably seen them do. Well, let me guess that they would probably appear just after sunset.
Yeah, it would be earlier. Yeah, I mean, obviously not still the sun up at all, but not like the middle of the night. We would be out there earlier.
Right.
And it's right above our house.
And would they? Was this house located on a hill or in a valley or near a lake or?
Water. No water. We're Phoenix. We're in Phoenix.
Phoenix.
It's like the middle of Phoenix.
Middle of Phoenix. Okay. All right.
But I mean, Phoenix generally has, is pretty active. I live by South Mountain now.
Yeah. There are literal crafts out there. I've seen. I mentioned earlier to you. I've seen we call things UFOs that we can't identify. For me, saying the word UFO has a connotation of aliens kind of tied with it, but
yeah, in a craft. I'm not sure that these are crafts per se, but
right. Yeah. I seen a craft, an actual craft. It was probably about 2 to 3 years ago. It was in the fall, and we were driving along, and I seen these lights up in the sky, and they were just out of place. And I thought, well, maybe they're a cell tower because they were off in the distance, down the road. And we kept coming along. It's like, okay, there's no cell tower there. So as we got closer, we actually finally caught up with it. And I jumped out of the car at a Dollar General and tried to film it, although my battery went dead in like 10 seconds. But I was looking up at it, and it had a light on each corner, and it was the shape of a triangle. It was about, from corner to corner, it was about the length of a football field.
Sort of like the Phoenix Lights.
Yeah, it's the same thing that they flew over Phoenix, and it's man-made. It's a secret project that they have not told anybody about that these crafts exist, but they operate. As a matter of fact, their method of altering gravity is using the technology gained off the knowledge of the subject that we're talking about. The flower of life and the toroidal flow of energy, the wheel within a wheel, like in Ezekiel's wheel in the Bible.
The way you were describing that is sort of like the things we would see in the sky, the wheel within the wheel.
Yep. Mm-hmm. They're angels, is most of the ones that you're seeing that are big and bright up in the sky. The Bible says they're bright white and round all about, and it also says that they are, well, Ezekiel described them as a wheel within a wheel, turning in on itself like this. And
That's what it is.
I've seen them with my own eyes close to about 150 times. If I had the number of them, it would be closer to 500 probably, but 150, close to there, different occasions. Even recently, I've seen them right here where I'm at, close to my house. But going back to the craft in the sky, I seen that, and I jumped out and started filming it. It was dead silent, big as a football field, setting in the sky. It was blocking out the stars. I couldn't even see the stars through it. But I could see the lights on the corner. And when I jumped out and started filming it, because it was moving at about 15 miles an hour, and it was about 200 foot above the trees. And it was moving real slow. When I jumped out and started filming it, it stopped. And it rotated around 180 degrees and started going back the direction it came from. But right after it rotated, a red orb showed up right down in front of me literally across the street, about 50 feet from me. A bright red orb about this big around showed up across the street from me. All of a sudden, just poof. And I was like, holy moly, what is that?
Yeah.
I think that was technology, the use of the use of the knowledge gained from the tree out of the garden is what it is. It's the understanding of sacred geometry and getting energy to flow, because that craft sets in the sky by creating its own. It's the same way the little orb that you've seen in your room floated along and created its own light. It created its own movement. It's the same thing. It's giving example, a supercell thunderstorm or a hurricane are in that same toroidal image. It's the spinning motion, okay? And within that, there are all these lines of energy which create basically a torus, similar to the flower of life and things like that as well, but a torus, okay? And when you get enough energy flowing within a torus, it will create its own gravitational space. With a supercell thunderstorm that produces a tornado that comes down, the tornado has high winds and can throw things, and it can move things, the wind itself. But more interesting, and this, you can look this up, that tornadoes produce an anti-gravity field. And that is why things will literally come up and be floating in the sky instead of just falling straight back down. The wind is not carrying it. The wind is moving it, but the wind is not carrying it. It's being levitated by the toroidal forces of the energy that's being put off, the anti-gravity type field that's being produced by the spinning of the supercell. A supercell thunderstorm spins in a circle is what it's doing, and a lot of times if it gets strong enough, the center, the eye, will come down to the ground, of course, and create a tornado. But it's creating its own environment. That's why it's able to throw train cars and things like this. It's not the wind doing it. It's the levitational forces that are created by this type of thing. And that's how they're able to put a craft in the sky that's big as a football field. And God only knows how much they weigh, but it weighs nothing because it exists within its own flower. It exists within its own point of creation, basically.
Can I ask you a question?
Yeah, sure.
What do you think of? I'm sure you've seen it. We've all seen the video where the orb seems to be creating a crop circle.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think of crop circles generally? Because I think those are so fascinating because of the sacred geometry. Where do they come from? Who makes them?
I would say some crop circles have been made by man.
I know some have, but not all.
Others are made by angels trying to communicate with us exactly the knowledge of what we're talking about. They create the sacred geometry designs and things to try to, through the use of symbolism, to try to educate the public of the world that we live in and what it really is, because the world we live in is actually spelled incorrectly, WORLD.
Mm-hmm.
The world we live in is actually world, WHIRLED. We live in a world, see, because God creates everything in His image, and His image is of the storm. His image is it's even how He speaks. It says in the Bible when God spoke, He created everything, right? Mm-hmm. He created the universe, the one verse. And when you speak, me and Dan were talking about this on another show recently. When you speak, it creates a toroidal field, a toroidal flow of air right in front of your mouth. It creates a torus, basically a flower. It is what it creates. The image of a flower. Every word you speak does this. We just can't see it. You can go online and look up people that are vaping, and they can, some of them learn how to use it and stuff. And not that I'm encouraging vaping in any way, shape, or form.
I do vape.
But you can, it allows you to see your breath, and then you can see the torus that it creates. It's like a smoke ring, but it's, you can see it a lot better than just a simple smoke ring.
Yeah.
You can see a complete toroidal field.
That's cool.
which is the same image of our world that we live in. We live in that toroidal field that God spoke into existence. But I don't want to hog all the talking here. I want to hear more about your supernatural experiences. So you keep going.
Just that house. There were some. Oh, well, I told you about the UFOs, and I had a friend that stayed there one night, and he slept on the couch in the front room, and there was a big, huge window, and he told me that there were lights on the porch that night, and I don't remember the colors or anything, but he kept insisting that they weren't coming from somewhere. They certainly weren't coming from in the house either, that they were on the porch. He said they going back and forth in front of that window on our porch.
And what was it that was on the porch again? I'm sorry, I got distracted for a second.
Some lights, like he didn't, I don't remember if he told me what colors. He just said that these lights were on the porch. They weren't coming from anywhere else. They were lights in and of themselves going back and forth in front of the window on the porch. And that was in the middle of it.
Well, I would assume that's related somehow to, again, what we're kind of talking about here.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. It could have been something else. Of course, we weren't there, but I've seen the angels do amazing things. And some of y'all guys out there listening have heard me talk about them before, but I've seen them flash and light up the entire sky and light up the ground like it was daylight. There's one example. There's a video. Matter of fact, it's in my documentary that we're going to look at a little bit of here in a few. But there was one example that above in Jerusalem at the Temple Mount, one was right above the Temple Mount area there, and it come down out of the sky, white orb, bright white, round all about. It come down, stopped right above it, and it sat there for a second, and then it exploded in light and lit up everything, and then shot straight in the sky. I have seen that with my own eyes, demonstrated for me, in front of me. I've seen the flash like that probably about 4 or 5 times, something like that. They like to streak through the sky, and when they streak through the sky, they leave a little light trail behind them as they streak. And one time I was standing at the beach 2 nights in a row. One night I was standing there, and one of them showed up above the water right in front of me. Mm-hmm. And it was only there for a second or two that I could visually see it. And right as it started to go fade, a lightning bolt came out of it and struck the ocean. It was probably only about 20 feet above the ocean, and it just I didn't hear no thunder or anything, but I seen the arc, pow. And the next night I was standing there looking for angels. I was standing there looking up, and while I'm looking up, one flew from behind me over my head, just like maybe at the most 20 foot above my head, streaked out across and went out over the ocean. And what looked like pixie dust floated down all around me. Wow. And I've seen them do a bunch of other stuff, but I don't want to hog all the talking because I'm kind of bad at that.
This house also, it was totally rewired with a brand new electrical system, and we would get bulbs breaking all the time, like, flashing, going out, like popping in every single room. That would happen. And the orbs in the bedroom, just various sizes, and at the same time would just be floating around. Mm-hmm. I'm trying to think if there's anything else about that house in particular. I think I told you everything pretty much.
You can get the fan.
I want to know though more about this, that Seed of Life and the 369 thing, because that just looks. And tell them about Mr. BBB 333's.
Yeah, let's.
That just resonated with me like I can't even describe. It was like staggering.
You want me to show that little bit of a video clip of his?
Yeah, I would really like to know why that resonated with me. So
let me add that to the stage here. Dan, you feel free to jump in at any time here. Either that or you can take a nap, whichever you prefer. There. I know. You ever have you? I can't remember if you said, Dan, if you've ever seen an example of what we're talking about or not.
Quite often. One of the things I wanted to ask Ms. Kimberly, were there any mood changes within the people within the home during these activities?
No, I don't think so. I found it strange to myself how I didn't freak out at this right in front of my face. I didn't, when it was over. Like I knew it had happened. I knew that it wasn't anything bad, but it was almost strange to me. Even now, it's strange to me how I took it in stride. And I'm wondering if it's just because.
How old was the house?
What?
How old was the house?
It was built in the 50s.
Okay. But there was no sounds or smell.
Well, sounds. My bathroom, there was a sound that would happen in the wall that was not pipes. And the way it would move in the wall. I know I sound crazy with this. There was something that would.
No, you not.
From one point in the wall and make a diagonal movement to the other point in the wall. And I'm the only person in the house who could hear it. But I could hear it as clearly as I can hear myself talking. I can hear you. I would hear that sound.
And no, you're not crazy. Just because someone chooses to speak the truth that other people are unfamiliar with does not make one crazy. What makes one crazy is the unwillingness to consider all possibilities in this life as to what things may be.
That's what I don't understand about skeptics, if you will.
Mm-hmm.
Just how do we know? I mean, humanity, this version of humanity has been here for such a short time. How have we developed? We don't even have the senses to perceive everything that's out there. That's a good
You want me to turn up her mic? Yeah. I can turn her. Can you turn your mic up a little bit, or I can do it from here, kind of in a way.
Can you? Yeah.
Okay, I'll turn you up. Hang on. Somebody in the comments is saying you need to be a little bit louder.
I don't have much of a voice. I'm sorry.
No, you're good. All right. If my screen keeps turning white, it's because I'm having video card issues.
This is the first time it's done that.
Yeah, it keeps doing it to me. And then I have to click around on my screen and it'll come back, but it's getting to be a problem. Anybody out there got a reasonably new laptop that has a really good video card in it that I might be able to lay my hands on? Anyone?
Wish I did.
If you do, send me a text to 843-284-3343. Doesn't have to be a laptop, but I've got to do something because one day this video card's going to go out on me and this laptop, and it's not going to work anymore. I need to go ahead and get ahead of the ball on this. So, all right. So let's take a look at a little bit of Mr. MMB, a clip from his video talking about this, and the message I would have for him basically about these things is listen to the things that are in this video and consider it if you happen to run across this, my brother. So let's see here. Might have to back it up a second, but let's play this up. I haven't listened to it, so I don't even know what he's going to say.
Oh boy.
Oops. I have to turn the mic on.
Maybe 5:45. Anyway, I saw this in November of 2007. I saw it at 5:45 p.m., maybe 5:30, right around in there. It was still daylight. The sky was very blue.
So what he's showing here is, as you can see, this is a landscape photo. You can see a little bit of mountains back here in the background. And he's showing this light up here, and he's zooming it up and showing you what it looks like zoomed in the best he can.
What I saw in the sky wasn't quite this big. Okay, this at the time I made this video 11 years ago. Once I found out, it took me a year and a half. It took me until 2009 to even understand a little bit, just a little bit, what I saw in the evening sky, as it was, like I said, broad daylight. There wasn't a cloud anywhere for miles. This is the location. I'm going to take you guys to the exact location of where I saw this thing in the sky. A young lady by the name of Rose from Georgia. Once I learned from her that quite possibly what I saw, at least what I was describing, according to her, was this. This is what I saw in the daytime sky. Well, evening sky. It wasn't even dark. It was still bright blue skies. Okay, it was early November. Bright blue, sunny day. Wasn't it cloudy?
What you're looking at there is called the flower of life. And I could really get into a long discussion about it, but I'm going to cover it some, but I'm going to let this play a little bit more here. But it is the way, it's the energy flow patterns, the way that God created, if not all, at least most things. And this energy flow pattern, you can see, if you look right here in this point, you can see there's a petal of a flower here, and another petal of a flower, and another petal of a flower, and another petal. But then it's surrounded by all these other petals of flowers. And then if you look at it in other ways, you can see all these are arcs. Arcs. And it has to do with where the term Ark of the Covenant came from. and it has to do with where the term archangel came from. It's about the 369 base geometry of this arc, this curve. The same curve that you see there's like this big circle here, and the whole thing is a giant circle, and there's circles within circles, and then these petals, the shape that they're in, if you see here, this is called a vesica Pisces. Vesica Pisces. The vesica Pisces is what's called, what I have dubbed as a point of creation. Your eye is in this shape, and the reason it is because your eye is a point of creation. A point of creation has certain attributes. The point of creation will have something that opens and closes, like a gateway, like the pupil in your eye. Your pupil in your eye opens and closes based on certain conditions. It allows you to view and observe reality. And a point of creation will also have other attributes, like it will have a greater set of wings and a lesser set of wings. And we could get into, but like with the eye, you have an upper eyelid and a lower eyelid. Another thing about points of creation is that they will always have something similar to hair on them, or something similar to hair. Like with a flower, you see a lot of flowers, they have all the petals. You could call those petals wings. And normally a flower will have a smaller set of little petals and your main petals. And in the center of it, you will normally see in a flower, it will have little things they'll call it stigmas or various things like that look like little hairs sticking up. And then right in the middle, of course, is where the flower is pollinated. It's the same thing with a woman's body and a man's body, is how that works. A woman's reproductive system has that vesica Pisces shape that we're talking about, that I'm showing here. And there's two circles overlapping each other, and in that middle is called the point of creation. And a woman's physical body as well has wings. I could use other words for them that would sound vulgar, so I'm not going to use those words, but it has two sets of wings, a larger set and a smaller set within that. And then, of course, it has something that is in the image of hair that is around it as well. And other things that are point of creations will have that, just like our eyes, which we have eyelashes, the hair that's around our eyes. And you also have eyebrow that runs above the eye. Your head itself is a point of creation, because right between your two eyes is what's called the ethmoid bone, which has what's called the crista galli on it. The crista galli is the place where that light exists within you. It's where it resides. It's where God within us, God within this flesh resides. It's our flame. It's the flame that they used to keep in the tabernacle. They always had to keep the lamp burning. It represented the flame of God within the tabernacle. The tabernacle is you, your body. Right in between your eyes, if you look up crista galli, you will find that it looks like a cross with a veil hanging on it. And if you studied it a little bit more, you'll figure out that it looks like the ark, out of the Ark of the Covenant, and also Noah's Ark. It has many attributes or things that look familiar to in the image of the Ark of the Covenant. And this all goes right back again to this flower, the flower of life, which is why an archangel is called an archangel, because of the fact that it has to do with their makeup, an attribute of them. They are an ark. They're a wheel within a wheel. They have many arcs. And so there's a little bit of an explanation about it. But anybody has any thoughts, they can jump in there, but I'll finish playing his video here if not. Okay, I'll keep playing here.
Out anywhere. This appears in the southern sky right out here in Arizona. And you're probably asking, okay, what were you doing looking at the southern sky at 5:30 in the evening or 5:40 from this location? I'm going to take you to the exact location. Where are we at? We are, right here. Yeah, here we go. Okay, zoom out. We're at a birthday party. Right here. Okay? On this, at that house. We were at a birthday party many years ago, 2007. So 16 years ago, we'll take you to the exact location to where the car was parked. Here we go. This is a true story, by the way. 100% true. The car was parked right here. Right here. We were at this house right here at a birthday party. Not this one. This one here. Here's the driveway. We couldn't park in the driveway. It wasn't our home. And not only that, there were other cars in the driveway because we were attending a birthday party. I parked right here. The car was facing this direction. And this direction is south. Okay, at the time, I noticed by looking at this picture, and I haven't been here for quite a while on Google Earth, that's where I got this image from. And in fact, that's not a very good street view. I'm not even sure if they had street view back in 2009 when I did this video, 2012, maybe they did. But these trees were not this big, not by a long shot. In fact, when we were here, and again, the car was parked here, I was out standing next to the car at 5:30, 5:45. It was early November 4th, November 3rd, and I was just standing right here, just kind of just looking around. I wasn't looking at anything in particular. I was just looking at the sky, and that appeared, as crazy as it sounds, in the sky at about that height from my perspective. It came in from the top.
See, what he's saying is he's seen an angel, but he hasn't realized it quite yet. But I'm hoping that he seems to be on the path, just like you are, to being able to understand it and see it, because you were already telling me things that I had to learn in order to come to and understand what angels look like and how it relates to everything, like a sunflower, for instance. That image is a sunflower. Well, why does a sunflower look like that? It's because that's the way God shows his image. He shows himself within you and within everything he creates.
I was just going to say mine might be the grapefruit.
Huh? Yeah, grapefruit. Yeah.
But why do you think it was, I mean, what was small? Mine was like it was a part of that. It was just the one circle from within the circle.
Say that again, I'm sorry.
I was just wondering why you think mine was so small. Because it was definitely like one of the circles within the circle. Like when I saw that, I just knew. But I don't know why mine was so small. And I read somewhere about the triangles within will either be in 3, 6, or 9, and there were 3 in mine.
Mm-hmm. Well, small is only a matter of your perspective, for one.
Oh, true.
And so far as, like for instance, give you an example, the spirit of a human being is about the size of a grapefruit, something like that. And so if it was smaller than that, it may have been a lesser spirit of some kind, assuming that it wasn't something totally different than what I'm talking about. I can only speak from my experience and the things that I've learned, and try to share that with everybody that's watching.
Is it interdimensional?
Absolutely, it's beyond the veil. Typically, these things exist beyond what's called the veil. See, that's another attribute of the Ark of the Covenant, for instance. There was always a veil in front of it. It's veiled. This is the same reason as when I talk about that point of creation, that ark, and that flower of life being on a woman's body. What things on a woman's body does she veil? What does a woman veil? Well, maybe she veils her whole body. Okay. But normally women will veil their private areas, of course, down below, and their breast, because the breast is in that same exact image. If you look at the glands and everything that are within the breast, it's that. And it also, the breast has a center, an eye, just like any point of creation will have that eye. It opens and closes because it lets milk out, and then it closes back up. It's a point of creation, and typically it will have some kind of something that represents kind of like hair on it or in it, or something that looks similar to that. And of course, men have it more shown, where we have hair around our pecs or our breasts, whatever you want to call it. And but for a woman, it's normally fuzz, that kind of thing. Doesn't the hair doesn't manifest as much. Does that answer your question? I'm not sure if I did or not.
Yeah, well, my sense was kind of that at the time, even before I saw it, the bigger one, that mine was young, kind of.
Yeah, it's just
I felt like it was inquisitive.
It is. It's sentient. These things,
no doubt.
Yeah,
No doubt.
the ones you see in the skies that people want to call aliens or alien crafts, or these, and there are crafts, but they're made by man using fallen angel technology. The angels, the angels that came down and they revealed a lot of this knowledge, just like the angels in the crop circles. They're revealing knowledge when they're doing that. And I'm not quite sure what kind of angel is doing that. Is it good angels or bad angels? I don't know. And I can't tell you what color a good angel is compared to a bad angel, because even Satan was called a bright. What then?
An angel of light.
Yeah, an angel of light, exactly.
It was definitely not bad. It was definitely.
Yeah, you can. For me, I can sense it when I have these things, these kind of supernatural things happen. I know, I can feel it. Most of us
Inside when it's
because
you feel it.
Say again.
When it's something sentient, you can feel it too. Like you just
absolutely.
And feel it.
Mm-hmm.
I can feel. I mean, I could get pretty deep into this, but I can feel people, and I can feel if someone's, even if someone's going to die. I've had quite a few examples where I actually knew that person was going to die in the next week or two, and they did. In a number of examples, I don't know how that works. I don't know why I can feel it, but it's happened a number of times. I think I told Dan a couple of those stories of that kind of stuff happening. But yeah, it's
part of discernment, Daniel.
Yeah, I guess
when
so,
you
right.
discern, when you get to discerning the spirits, not only will you determine which ones are evil and which ones are not, but the strength or weakness of that particular spirit, or its fixing to leave the area in which you encountered it. In other words, if it's in a human being, you know that spirit is fixing to leave. Their spirit is fixing to leave the body. It is spiritual discernment.
Right. Talking about leaving and arriving, it kind of reminded me there just a second about the spark we were talking about. The spark, the arc spark. So the spark. See, when a spirit comes into this world, when an egg has been fertilized, people say, when does the child actually exist? When is there a soul there? When is there a child? The spark, and this has been videotaped, and I could show a video of it right now, or y'all guys, anybody can go look it up. The moment that the sperm enters the egg sparks. It lights up. That is the moment when the soul is placed in the egg. The child is there at the very beginning, the very moment of conception. A spark takes place, just like when the angels cross the veil so that we can see them. They pierce the veil with a spark. And I'm going to show you a video of that here in just a few minutes. It's because God does most everything in the same patterns. Once you know that life begins and ends with a spark, and you can start to discern and understand other things about our existence and life itself. And this knowledge leads to understanding greater knowledge. I've been on this path for quite a while, but doesn't mean that it'll take you quite a while to understand it, because you're pretty far down the path actually already, Kimberly, in understanding some of these things. You've got a lot of the right questions.
Have you ever seen any of the studies that say that the soul weighs 21 grams?
I've heard that, yeah. I've heard it.
Where does that go?
Well, 21 is tied to the number of chromosomes, basically, your DNA, and the number 21 being a perfect number, basically. And it's a number based on God, and it's a number based on the 369 code again, and it's so can I vouch that that's true? No, I can't. But I've heard that, and I don't doubt, because anything that exists has something to it.
Yeah.
If you know what I'm saying. It might not be something you can necessarily put on a scale and measure by itself, because how can you get an orb to get on a scale and let you measure how much it weighs? It's not really possible. But I know when people die, they say that happens immediately, that they lose that weight on the spot, that kind of thing. So go ahead, Miss Kimberly, tell us some more. And I'm telling you, I love talking about this subject, so I'll hog it all up.
I think I covered everything. I just wondered what you think about the fact that it seemed to me that it was inquisitive. Like, I really thought it was checking out the bedposts that it was kind of wrapping around. And and do you really think that we startled it? Is that because that's what it seemed like it did? It's like it startled. But I don't know.
Put it this way. Let's use my experience that I know that I can refer to, because I can't say what happened there with you for sure. But I can tell you this. When I go to the beach, or when I'm out and I see angels, when they appear in front of me, do they know I'm there? Do they know I see them? Absolutely.
See, that's what I thought. It was right in front of my face. It had to have known that we were there and seeing.
It may have been surprised that you could see it.
That's the whole point.
Mm-hmm.
That's the whole point. Most times, they know that if they intend for you to see them, they will see them. But if they're not expecting it, all too often in what I've done, they're not expecting me to see them.
Okay.
It catches them completely off guard. They're seeing you.
Mm-hmm.
The thing that startled it was then it recognized the fact you were seeing it.
My dog and I both just must have been so intently staring at it.
See, what it sees when it sees you, it's not looking through carnal eyes, mortal eyes. It sees your spiritual aura, your orb that exists all around you. You have an orb that reaches out 3 foot on either side of your body and above your head that same amount of distance, and down below your feet. And you could call it your aurora. A lot of names that we want to give things, all these names that man makes up, but our bodies create this, and we exist like the eye of the talking about the eye that's like the pupil in our eye, or the eye that's in the eye of a hurricane, or the eye that's in a tornado, or the eye of the center of in the midst of the garden, the tree that was in the center of the midst of the garden, which is in the middle. That's why the tree was in the midst. And the tree is a trunk like this, and the tree has all those rings in it. If you cut a tree down and look at it, it has all the rings. But the tree is the trunk, and that is what our body is. our body is the trunk of our actual existence, which is much larger and goes all the way around us. We have our arms and our legs, of course, and our fingers and our toes and everything that we mortally have, but we actually exist in a larger fashion. We exist as our own energy field, which is why they had us separate ourselves this past couple of years. They're trying to get everybody to stay 6 foot apart. It's because that's how big your energy fields are, and if they really want to separate the people, they have to get them to stay 6 foot apart and teach them that anything any closer in that is dangerous, when actually anything closer is the opposite of dangerous.
Yeah.
They want to divide and conquer all the way down to the cellular level, you might say. You remember those little stickers on the floor that said stand here, and they were 6 foot apart?
Yes.
Yeah. It's so that our toroidal fields, our energy fields, our aurora, whatever you want to call it, are not completely touching other souls. They don't like that, and so it's amazing the extremes they went to with all of that shenanigans, and unfortunately they're not done yet. So let's Kimberly, let me let's see. Let's go ahead and bring Mr. M&B down, because I think he's on his path to
I think he is.
understand, what this stuff is. And let's see, I had a couple other images pulled up here. Let's look at a 3-dimensional flower of life.
Yeah.
And then I'm gonna show the video. This is a 3D image of a flower of life. And so when he said that this was in the sky, he really meant basically this, but it's the energy flow of the flower of life, of the way that God creates everything, and we exist within an image of this.
That part that you're circling right now that's highlighted, that's what I saw.
Which part?
The part that said like the lighter yellow, you were just circling around it.
Uh-huh.
That would be like my light. It was like that part of the greater.
Right. But it had all of this within it too, but you were looking at it from a different perspective, more like this.
Yeah.
So to you it looked like that, but if you could come up really close to it and analyze it, what you would have found is this. And if you went inside of it, which we're going to try to do, see if we can. Not sure if this will actually work or not. Probably not. Let me see if I can back out of here and get myself back out. I think I'm trying to go a little too far into the flower, a little too far. But yeah, it exists just like this. This is why you can see how these things look like wheels, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's why Ezekiel said they were a wheel within a wheel, because there's wheels everywhere. Did he also say it had eyes everywhere? It had eyes. Do you see all the eyes on here? See that one right there? Eyes. Eye is the point of creation. It's all tied to this. So it had all the eyes everywhere, and it had wheels within a wheels, and it's not only is this an angel, this is the spirit that you have within you as well. It's the world that we live in. It's the energy form of a hurricane as well, or at least part of a hurricane. And and all these curves that you see, that is how the energy flows. It flows on these arcs. On the earth, they call them ley lines. And where they intersect at is called a node, like the intersection of these all right here. This is a node, or anywhere where they intersect is called a node. And the node is where there is a greater level of power, you might say, exists within the node. That can apply to music, and actually it applies to everything. The way light moves, the way sound moves. God created all things in his image, and they are, this is very much a good representation of what that image looks like. But it's also a very dull representation if you're trying to really show, because you can only imagine truly what heaven truly looks like and what God looks like. It's unfathomable, but his creation, the way he creates, is certainly this, because that's why they call it sacred geometry. And all of your basilicas and temples and all of these things that they put huge money in to build around the world, they take this kind of stuff into account. You see, this is one of these circles right here is the rose window on any of the Catholic basilicas. They have the rose windows. And what you're looking at is the flower of life. It's the flow of the energy that's in that building. They're trying to show in the windows what the energy is in the building, the resonance, the vibration, the frequency. They just don't tell you that. That's only for the priest to know. And the way they look at it, because Catholics aren't even allowed to read the Bible, so they're not supposed to know anything. Just be sheep. Well, that's another topic for another video. Let's see. All right, now we showed that because that was pretty awesome. I think we're just going to go to the video because I don't think this 3D image is any better, but I'll let it load real quick and we'll take a peek. Because I would like to show some of that video. This one just has a lesser amount of lines on it. So it has less of the energy flow lines and less of the points. But
it looks like the things we would see in the sky.
Yeah, that's because that's what it is. This is a depiction of it, a image of it.
It's a pretty good one, except for the movement, the energy, and the light. But it's a good depiction of it.
Exactly. I'd like to find one that, like this, that is created more like in a video, so you can see.
Yeah, like an animated one would be great. But
animated, I'll make that a point to try to find that. I bet that it's out there somewhere.
Yeah.
But when you start really analyzing and look at these things, you can start really seeing some amazing things. Do you see the 7 circles here? 7 days of creation. See here's one circle. Here's 2 circles.
7, yeah.
Here's 3. Here's 4. Here's 5. Here's 6. And then the one in the middle, 7. And it was complete. God rested on the 7th day. Yep. And see, this is a good example too of, you can kind of look at these circles as petals on a flower, of course. You can see it in here, well, it's like petals on a flower. But you can also look at these as petals on a different kind of flower. And you say, well, why are all the flowers similar to this and created like this, just a little different ways? It's just how God expresses himself through different versions of the same image. So all right, so let's watch a few minutes of my documentary that I have pulled up here. And but then I'm not gonna play the whole thing, but then I'm gonna have everybody who wants to see it to make sure you subscribe to this channel, because what it is, it's a video that's going to show you about 50 different situations where angels were filmed or some level of deity. Let me show you something real quick. It just hit my mind to show you. Because we're not, everything we're talking about, not all things in this world are good. So let's pull up the angel that they're depicting at CERN. CERN statue.
Shiva.
Yeah, Shiva. And I'm going to show you. You should be able to see it now. Let me get the highest resolution image I can at a quick grab here. Let's see here. Let's look at this one. Should maybe be fine. Okay. Now you see the circle. You remember I said that the life force that is within exists in the center like the trunk of a tree. Okay. And you see these things coming off here like wave bands. What they're showing you is sound. Okay. That's what that symbolism for, is the sound. You see all these little nodules on here. Those are the nodal points. Those are where the lines cross at, like I was showing you earlier. Those are the nodal points. You got the ones inside in here, because we're talking about a wheel within a wheel. You got the little nodal points showing in here. You have to imagine this thing more in a 3D shape, kind of like we look at that 3D. Because right here, what you're looking at is mostly 2D, because the flower of life, toroidal energy flow, is flat. From our pit, we don't have depth when it comes to this circle. All we have is width and height. But each one of these things is showing you the nodal points where the energy loops around, following the arc, which is what this is. And they are referring to a deity that they call Shiva. And you can see the colors on her. There's purple on here and different colors, but definitely purple or heliotrope actually would be a more appropriate name for the colors that they have on her here. Heliotrope. Heliotrope is considered to be the color of royalty, which royalty really is referring to deities, angels, God, that kind of thing. But you ever seen this statue before, Kimberly?
No, I don't think I have. I mean, I've heard of Shiva before.
Yeah, this is at CERN, which is a shortened word for Cernunnos, which is a Greek ancient god, along with, what were you going to say, Dan?
I was going to say a lot, but go ahead. You're doing well.
All right. Well, here, go ahead and share a few thoughts about this, Dan. And
if you take a look at the point to where you're talking about the circle, you will see an attachment that is not normal, coming from the waistline of Shiva,
right here,
out right there.
Okay.
This is to control the flower of life, to change it, if you will. Shiva, he's known as the destroyer of ignorance. That's why the children and ignorant are beneath its feet.
Interesting.
And you said
the way they go about doing that is to affect the very nature of God's creation within each one of us and within nature itself.
Yeah, and if you're not that familiar with this statue, this is going to seem a little probably odd for you if you're not familiar with CERN and the statue and stuff. But see, CERN is a place over it's kind of on 3 countries. It sits right on the lines of 3 different countries. Let's say
I thought it was Switzerland.
Yeah, Switzerland is one of the countries. And one of the things that they're creating there is this. A star is a deity, an angel of some type. So here she's the deity, the angel, the star in the bottle. The bottle is the toroidal field, the flower of life. They're actually building a, matter of fact, let me pull it up. CERN star in a bottle. Okay, let's see. Yeah, I think that's probably about the. See, this is a good image from CERN.
They also just opened a portal above it that is being reported in the last few days.
I heard something about that. Interesting.
I need to see some more information on that. We might take a look, but do you see
I
anything here that looks familiar?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's the same.
Very much so.
The same thing basically that we're talking about, and this is at CERN. Okay, and this is also the apple out of the garden. Okay, because the apple is the Bible never actually uses the word apple, but everybody says apple. But you could use any name of any fruit pretty much. You could say the grapefruit out of the garden, but the apple is actually probably the closest to the imagery of the flower of life, of a point of creation, and yeah, it's very, very close. Let me see what other image we got here. It might be interesting to show real quick. Of course, they've got this thing at CERN as well, of course, which this is not a very high definition photo, but most of you have seen this kind of thing. But here you have the circle again, and they're moving light down the eye, the pupil of the circle, at extreme speeds and colliding it together, trying to see what it's made of. But their plans are much greater than what they actually disclose. I could speculate on that, but we probably should do a whole video on speculating on what CERN's doing, don't you think, Dan?
That'd be interesting.
You could do at least one.
That would be really interesting.
At least one, right? Let me see here.
But they're firing 1 billion protons in either direction simultaneously, accelerating them in 0-degree temperatures up to just shy of the speed of light and colliding them. And then looking for the anomalies that they discover.
They're looking for questions, because you can't find the answers to the unknown unless you can find the question.
Yeah, you see the question.
So here's a report from the New Yorker back in 2014. It's called "A Star in a Bottle," and it's talking about CERN. It says years from now, maybe in a decade, maybe sooner, if all goes according to plan, the most complex machine ever built will be switched on in an alpine forest in the south of France. The machine, called the International Thermonuclear Experimental Reactor, or ITER, will stand a few hundred feet tall, and it will weigh 23,000 tons, more than twice the weight of the Eiffel Tower. At its core, densely packed, high-precision equipment will encase a cavernous vacuum chamber in which a superhot cloud of heavy hydrogen will rotate faster than the speed of sound, twisting like a strand of DNA as it circulates. And what is a strand of DNA? It's double helical spinning is what they're talking about. And where is the strand of DNA? It's in the eye of the apple. It's the center. Symbolically, it's the center. It's the eye of the storm. And like in a hurricane, you have that eye wall, and it's wrapping around like that. And that's the same. That's why our DNA looks like this, because again, God created things in repeated different versions of the same image, which is the image of God. It says the cloud will be scorched by electric current, a surge so forceful that it will make lightning seem like a tiny arc of static electricity, and bombarded by concentrated waves of radiation, beams and uncharged particles, the energy in them so great it could vaporize a car in seconds, will pour into the chamber, adding tremendous heat. In this way, the circulating hydrogen will become ionized and achieve temperatures exceeding 200 million degrees Celsius, more than 10 times as hot as the sun, blazing at its core. Okay. The core in the very center, which is the point of creation, the whatever it is that they're wanting to speculate about. Why are they creating something that they could, like an angel exists within this thing that they're trying to create on Earth using technology? Are they trying to house an angel in there? Are they trying to create a manifested living quarters for an angel or for some kind of deity? I'm highly suspicious of it. And there's a fly that keeps driving me crazy here. Let me show you my completely off subject here, but since I done interrupted everything for it. It's called an assault gun, an assault gun. It has salt in it, and you can shoot flies with it.
No kidding.
Yeah, it works awesome. You can buy them online, even on Amazon. But you can shoot a fly like 3 or 4 feet away that pitches on something. Pow!
No kidding. Oh, I'm gonna love that. Right now I have to use a torch. I try to burn them.
Get you one of these. They work perfect. I've had this for years.
That's really cool.
They work. All right. So let's see here. So I kind of showed you a lot of things about a lot of things, but let's go ahead and take a look at this little bit of this documentary while we still got a few minutes today. Let's see what I do with it. Not sure which one this is. I also wanted to show you. Let's see which one this is. Hi guys, this is Daniel Alexander. Okay, that's that one. Here's this fly back. Give me the gun. He's a dead fly now. I never miss. You can call me Dan number 2. And what you're looking at here is these people filming out in these rolling hills, and this angel has come down. And right in front of these people, right under this light, which you can see is pretty large, but you'll see how big it is here even more so in a second. I'm going to take it and make it full screen so everybody can see it even a little bit better. But there are people standing right under it, and there's actually 2 of these angels here that have appeared here to these people, and somebody just off the distance here is filming them interacting with it. So let's back up and watch this again.
Oh yeah, that's exact. I recognize that.
Did you see it appear? And right before it appeared, you'll notice that you'll kind of hard because the camera's kind of shaky, but you'll see a spark on the screen right before it appears. And I'll show you on my documentary here right after we watch this. The spark thing really take place. It's a lot easier to see, but you can witness it in here. It's the piercing of the veil, is what that is. Here, hold the comments for just a minute, darling, so I can show this video. Thank you. You can see the spark there that took place.
Mm-hmm.
If you're out, a lot of times looking at the sky, if you'll look for sparks, But that
Al
is
parecer estas esferas parecen pertenecer.
that is very, very close to the people. I've
Mm-hmm.
never had one that big that get that close to me. I've seen them that big a lot of times, but never that close. Can you see the people standing down there?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they're very, very close, right there.
On that one, do you see the lines?
Yeah, yeah. You can see quite a number of things there. Just
like a cube.
Yep, exactly. A cube too as well. And the
Has the
cube,
circular lines.
the cube is related. Is a fifth dimensional there's a fifth dimensional relationship to this flower of life, this thing, and unfortunately, instead of worshiping the Creator like they should, like Father in heaven, they a lot of the major religions around the world, I won't name any specifically, but they worship the cube, which is the creation, instead of instead of God Himself. The Bible even says that we exist in God's footstool. Footstool like the cube. So, anyways, that's a really cool video, and that is in this full documentary.
Their own logic before authority, and this is.
I'm going to go ahead and forward this a little bit because we don't need the intro part because I've already described it. Let's see what we got going here.
Electrical.
Yeah, electrical, plasma, no physical body, controlled path, intelligence, appear. Yeah, what I did was put together kind of a list of attributes during the documentary. But there's some really amazing footage in this.
Still going? I'll go tell my dad why you look at that.
Oh, well.
It's good, isn't it? Yeah. Dad! It's good. No, Sarah.
Leaves spark streaks sometimes.
Those are aliens coming down here, y'all. Look at it's coming down the same direction.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
Oh, it's breaking up. Oh, it's 6, it's 8, it's 9. Oh shit, look at that. Oh, look at.
I don't guess we need his crazy antics about what he's looking at, but I've seen all this kind of stuff.
Look at that.
Yeah. We'll keep watching here, and I'm trying to find a couple of good examples, just to kind of show.
Oh my God, is that a pyramid?
How they'll multiply, and they normally use geometry in a lot of the things that they do when they appear.
That looks like a pyramid.
I've seen them do a pyramid shape. I've seen them do all kinds of things. This was a very interesting one where there were quite a few of them, and they were streaming around, and they happened to get caught on a television station's weather cam. You can see them kind of lightly in the background. They're streaming all over in different directions and stuff, which was pretty interesting.
Wow.
There are some. Trying to skip forward and see. Okay, this is a little bit better one here. I'm going to turn the sound on for a second.
That you've seen so far. I've personally witnessed the behaviors myself. I have seen orbs somewhere between 50 and 100 different occasions.
This is now a number of years later, and the number has increased quite a bit.
Literally seeing hundreds of these orbs.
You're going to be able to see the spot here in just a minute when this plays a little bit more. But they like getting in these lines like this.
Okay, in the following clip here, you're going to see something specific that these things do. As they multiply in a line, as you see them doing here, we're going to get a little cleaner clip coming up here in a second. And you're going to be able to see as they multiply, when one goes to appear, a spark will happen right before it appears. So one will appear and then a spark out in front of it.
Yep.
See the spark? Here comes another spark, and then another spark, and then another one. There it is. Another one, and there it is. You see? They grow and multiply by a spark being emitted first. You can see these sparks or flickers or static in the sky when they're present, even when there are no orbs to be seen. And here's another clip of the same phenomenon. Spark, then orb. Spark, then orb. Pulse, aka sparkle.
So there's some good examples for you there. Let me pull that back up here. I'm going to look down, just having to kind of click through while it's playing and see if I happen to see. I mean, all these are awesome examples. Dan, this is really interesting one. I'd like for you to see this. Let me pull this forward a little bit. Take a listen to this one, Dan. Not this one, but the next one. But this one's interesting too. This is from an airplane. I'm assuming you can see the ball of light. It looks almost like fire running along on the highway at traffic speed running over there.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what they're looking at. And they're filming in a mirror, I think, or something here. I never quite figured out how they filmed this, but it looks like they're filming in a mirror or something.
Manifesta, Senhor, a tua glória neste lugar. Aleluia! Oh, glória! Aleluia! Glória a Deus! Passa, amado. Você já viu, tem muita gente atrás de você. Dá uma olhada. Pai, nós não estamos vendo nada aqui, mas...
How would you like to see that while you were driving down the road and you're heading straight on at it and your car goes through it?
Yeah.
That'd be pretty wild. There's some other footage in this documentary. I'm not going to show it today, but you'll be able to see.
Be up there?
Yeah, I'm going to upload the whole thing as soon as we're done with the show here. But what I was going to say is there's footage in there of the tsunami in Japan in 2011, 2013? 2011, I think it was.
Yeah.
Huh?
It was, what, 2013?
I think it was one of the two, but anyways, neither here nor there. That big, terrible tsunami that wiped out all the villages and stuff. There's helicopter footage of the news helicopters, and they're filming the tsunami rolling in across the land.
Right.
And the helicopter footage, they didn't know it because, of course, they're just filming the tsunami. But what they also filmed, which I show in the footage, they filmed angels of light going in and out of the water after the souls. You can see it coming in and out of the water. There's multiples of them in the water continuously while the tsunami's going along, and all these people are drowning and dying. There are angels of light going in and out of the water repeatedly. And that whole footage, I show the footage, but then I slow it down, zoom it in, I point them out where they're at and follow them with a little arrow, everything. So
Cool.
yeah. So and they were also, I have footage of them being above Fukushima, sitting above Fukushima right before the earthquake. They were there. They were aware. Not sure. Like I say, I don't know what all's good or what all's bad and the intentions of all these things, but I can tell you I have footage of them sitting above Fukushima right before the earthquake struck Japan. And I have footage of them at Ground Zero in New York City as well.
Really?
And a number of other amazing places. There's probably like, I don't know how many clips there are in that documentary, probably 50, 60, 70, something like that. And I'm going to be doing a renewed, updated version here soon, getting all the newer footage that I can find because there's certainly a lot more footage these days. You got guys like Mr. MBB putting it up, and he isn't aware yet what it is, and I'm hoping he's going to figure it out so that he can. It'll take you a while to convince yourself that you're not just crazy, you know. It took me quite a while because I thought maybe I was just crazy, but when they kept coming back to me over and over, you see in the book of Daniel and a number of other books in the Bible, the most common place and time that angels will appear to you are at the water's edge or on the mountaintop right after sunset.
Yeah.
So, like Book of Daniel, the angel was out over the water. There was a couple of them that talked, and it was right after sunset at the water's edge, and that is where I've seen 90% of the angels I've seen, either on a mountaintop,
Really?
which I've seen in New Mexico. I was in New Mexico some years ago, and we were staying on top of this mountaintop, and there were, let's call it, very large hills. You know, they're like 5,000-6,000 feet tall hills above sea level, and they roll out in the distance. Huh? I thought you said something, Dan. But the first night I got there, and I was there for 2 weeks, and they showed up every night. We had anywhere from 5 to 10 angels show up every night in the sky doing all kind of amazing things. And there were 5 other witnesses there with me, including the woman that owned the house. We were staying in an RV there, and the woman that owned the house, she had seen a lot of things in the sky, she said, but she had never seen them before, and they showed up the entire time I was there. And from what I understand, they didn't show up after I left anymore.
Oh, wow.
Which, I ain't trying to make myself special. I'm just telling the truth, you know. So as I understand it, and but yeah, and then by the water's edge, I've seen them at the ocean at nighttime, right after sunsets. Ooh, down here in South Carolina, a ton of times, literally a ton. And I think now that you understand these things a little bit better, there's a high likelihood that you're going to have some more
Encounters.
You know, I live right at the base of South Mountain here in Phoenix, and that was a sacred site for the Native Americans. They used to say that the ships would come down right there, and there was actually a guy named Jeff Redwine, who used to go up there at sunset, and he would see orbs. I don't know why he doesn't do it anymore, but I'm going to drive up there around sunset now.
If you go up there,
I will.
Just get there before sunset.
Yeah.
And wouldn't even hurt to say a little prayer and say, Father, you know, I'm here to honor you, and I'm here to maybe have the opportunity to view your beautiful angels. When we're never supposed to worship angels, so you don't worship them if you see them. You kind of put you in a state of awe a little bit especially the first few times, but and they can be a little shocking, you know. But for me, it's very peaceful when I see them, and I can be a little bit exciting. But there was only one time that I've seen them that didn't feel right, and they were red that time. Yeah, or 3 of them showed up red, then faded, went away, and about 15 minutes later they showed up again. 3 of them red. Those ones didn't feel right, but other than that,
Where were you?
say
Where
again.
were you when that happened?
That was in Pawleys Island, South Carolina, at the time. I've seen them down in Myrtle Beach. I've seen them in Pawleys Island a bunch of times, all up and down the coast here, you know. And if anybody out there wants to see them again, right after sunset, be looking up, and you'll have a clue if they're there if you start seeing a lot of sparks. And then if they decide to, poof, there they are. And most of the time, you won't, unless your camera's rolling, you're not going to have a chance to get your camera out, because they typically don't stay that long. They typically will be there anywhere from a second to maybe 10 seconds, and then typically they're gone. And I mean, who's standing there looking at an angel wants to look away and go hunt for their cell phone? It's kind of hard for me, because people say, "Oh, you've seen them 150 times, but you don't have any video." I'm like, yeah, that's right.
Yeah, Daniel, the one I saw when I did Witch's Graveyard was dark orange. But it was only there for probably, like you said, somewhere around 10 seconds at the most, and it flashed out. But I certainly felt its presence while I was doing the binding in the graveyard itself. I knew it was there. The only thing that startled me was I wasn't expecting an orb. I was expecting a different type of manifestation.
Mm-hmm.
So, but it was there watching what I was doing.
They are called the Watchers for a reason, and
Yes,
they do that. And seeing them just show up and be there is really cool. But when you see them demonstrate things and do things, like streaking around, or sometimes they'll flow up from the ground like fire rising, like this over and over. We've seen them here recently, like that. One right behind another, boom, 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 and they just get real bright, like way brighter. I mean, it looks like somebody's got a flashlight with a million lumens shining at you, but it's not the same kind of light. It's different. It's not like it lights up the place around. It's just you can see them and they're bright. It's
Yeah,
really,
it was in a dark room and it didn't light up the room, but yet it was a very bright blue light.
Yep. But they do have the ability to light up the ground and everything around, because I've seen it with my own eyes. First time I ever seen it, I was standing at the beach just after sunset, and I was looking straight up, because I thought I'd seen some things up there, something other, and I was standing there looking, and all of a sudden one of them went poof, and it was as bright as a lightning strike, or a camera flash, but much brighter than a camera flash. And that same night, I seen another one just a little bit later, and then a couple other times I seen it do that. And there's footage of that taking place too, as well, in that documentary. The one that did that over over in Jerusalem that time. So
Chad Kalick captured one when he was filming over, I want to say maybe it was Australia. It was in a building, and it's the same thing. I mean, that room lit up so bright. It was so bright.
right. I appreciate y'all guys in the comments too. We're going to be doing another show here real soon where we're going to. It's going to be basically a comments only show where y'all guys are going to be the guests. You're going to be the guests in the comments, and I'm going to be just talking to y'all guys. And I appreciate you too, David. Thank you very much. And yeah, I do got a recognizable voice, don't I? I see somebody else in the house as well that I greatly appreciate, Cassandra. Let's see here. She says I don't see any added chat, but you, Daniel, chat. You don't see nobody's chat but mine. I don't know what's going on with that. That's kind of weird. I hope you're doing good, Cassandra. And I seen your partial blog that you posted. You just got to go back in and edit it some more. And part of my fault because I ain't put up that video yet. I got to write that down. the training video. But I know you started it. We'll get it going. And on that blog page, the main page, I'm going to put that video for the training right down below. There'll be either the video or a link to the video for the training on that. So, matter of fact, if anybody's out there and you want to be a guest blogger for the Supernatural Show website, where when you do a blog, of course, we will do a show on that blog and discuss the content of your blog as well. And you can put links to your YouTube channel, your whatever you want to do. Or if you don't have none of that and you'd still like to be a contributor with our show here and on the website, we're looking for guest bloggers. So if you're interested in being a guest blogger, send me a text or go on the website, TheSupernatural.Show, go to the blog page and go to the bottom and you'll see a form there that you can fill out. Or you can send me a text to 843-284-3343 and let me know you want to be a guest blogger, and I'll get you set up to do that. Dan's going to be doing some of that here one day here in the near future. We just got to get him a laptop. Matter of fact, I mentioned earlier, I need a laptop. Guess what? Dan needs one worse than I do. If anybody's out there that has it can be an older laptop. It don't have to be as fancy as the one that I need, okay? If you've got a good functional laptop that you'd be willing to donate to Dan, send me a text, okay? I'm serious. We need Dan a laptop. It ain't going to solve all the problems, but you can see the gentleman is sitting in his truck trying to contribute this work. We need to get him a laptop so that he can do some other things he needs to do. My number to text me at is 843-284-3343. And if that doesn't work, you can call me, which it'll work. But the phone number you can call me at this is the Supernatural Show's phone number, 843-402-8827 is the phone number here for the show. I think I even have it right here, so I can put it on it's on the screen now. Yeah, there you go. Thank you, Miss Kim.
Thank you so much.
I was referring to that Miss Kim back here.
Oh. My name.
Yeah, and you're Miss Kim too, but I call you Kimberly. Let's see here. I think we've about covered a pretty good amount today. And guys, I'm going to upload that video, that full documentary for y'all guys as soon as I get done here. And if y'all guys would, while you're here, can you please just push that thumb button? It helps, possibly. But it doesn't hurt. I'm pretty sure of that, if you like it. So if you could do that for me, and if you would click the share too, and send it to somebody, because the only way this channel can grow is through y'all guys. YouTube is not going to allow this channel to grow. The only way I will grow this show is y'all guys will have to do it. YouTube's not going to allow it to be in circulation and all this. I don't even know how Miss Kimberly found us here, but I'm glad you did. But the sharing is the way it can happen the most easy. So please do that. How long you been watching the show, Kimberly?
A few months.
2 months.
I watched it a few months before I contacted you.
Wow. Okay. Well, I'm glad to have you here, and I sure appreciate you being here today as well, and sharing some of those supernatural things that happened to you. And hopefully now you can consider, you don't have to believe necessarily anything that I've said. You always want to question and prove all things yourself, but hopefully I've helped maybe a little bit in getting you understanding what you're doing.
The Flower of Life thing was that's really fantastic.
It's the way God created everything, including heaven and earth. And if you want to see the flower of life in action, go out and look up at the stars. Every star you see is on a nodal point. Remember the nodal points where the lines cross, the energetic lines cross it? They follow those same patterns every night. And the stars will sit on a nodal point. And they'll, depending on the way God created it, which star sits on which little point, that was up to him. But that's what he did. And Dan, you have any thoughts before we wrap up for today, my brother?
No, I think we covered a whole lot about the flower of life, and that's something that really needs to be understood so that we will see what's coming toward us, what we're a part of, what we're made of.
Yep. How we're made.
God works, everything God does is organized.
And simple.
And very simple. The enemy works on chaos, trying to disrupt that order, the natural order of things that God established.
Yep.
So this is, I think, a very good program for people to come to understand the organization and the working of God himself within everything that field exists.
Right. Absolutely. Well, again, Miss Kimberly, thank you very much for being on the show today. I greatly appreciate you.
Yes, ma'am.
And if you have some additional memories or any new experiences or whatever, please make sure to get back with us.
Oh, I will. I want to be a guest blogger.
Oh, that sounds awesome, then. Well, then I'll just go ahead and get you set up for that and
Okay.
get you going on that.
Okay.
So, again, this is Miss Kimberly Keys. Thank you very much for being here today, telling your stories. And, guys, you can submit your story as well at TheSupernatural.Show. Go to the website. You don't have to be a member to submit your stories. And there's 3 levels of membership if you do want to get involved. And in some of the investigative stuff we're going to be doing, we're really just got the website going there, but there's been a ton of work done. It's working pretty good right now. Don't know of any major issues or anything. I think got most of the kinks worked out. But it's called TheSupernatural.Show. And if you try to go there and you have any problems, there's a phone number on the website, very obvious, and it's the same phone number that's been on the screen down there earlier that I read off to you. That you can call, and I'll try to help you work it out so that you can get access. And you say, well, I don't really want to be a member of a website. Okay, how about look at this? Do you want to support this work? Do you think that this kind of work more people should hear about? Okay, if you do, sign up to be a member of the website also does that. It doesn't mean you have to go hang out on the website all the time, but what you're doing is you're supporting this work. You're basically making a donation towards this work on a monthly basis or yearly, or depending on how you want to do it, you can do monthly donations, yearly donations, or just a one-time to get a lifetime membership to the website, which is basically contributions, donations, tithing, whatever you want to call it, to support this work that I'm trying to do and that Dan's trying to do, Shannon's trying to do, Miss Kim here, my lady, Miss Kim, trying to do, and we appreciate your support, and we need it because none of what we're doing here is free. It costs money to do this. It costs my time. It costs electricity, everything. So with that being said, guys, make sure to visit the website, TheSupernatural.Show, and check it all out there. There's a free membership, $10 monthly membership, and there's a $35 monthly membership, depending on what you want access to. With all that being said, I love you guys, and we'll see you next time here on The Supernatural Show. Until then, bye-bye.
Bye.